is CS Aaran. He is from Hyderabad. He has completed his chartered accountancy in 2010. He is very young. He has also done certificate course on forensic accounting and fraud detection. He has worked with Microsoft and Credit Suisse for 3 years. He is currently partnered with CBS and Money LLP, Hyderabad. He is looking after special assignment division, which includes data mining, data analysis, forensic auditing, ERP process audit. He has overall experience of more than 8 years in particularly in data mining and data analytics. He is expert of Excel and other tools. He is visiting faculty at ICAI branch Hyderabad. He is also taking a seminar and he is faculty at 100-hour ITT training of ICAI. Today he is going to introduce us few other Excel plus few other tools which can be useful to us in statutory planning audit. I would request Mr. Sanket to welcome him with bouquet.
Apologies for my end for the delay. Thank you so much for the Ahmedabad branch for the opportunity again. In fact, on January 20th, I have given one session. I launched services for 3 hours on forensic audit tools. Basically today, in fact, for my sessions, PPT is not much required because I directly attach it to Excel and we'll start working with the numbers. In fact, we are having another only 1 hour time. 5:45. In fact, I just thought of giving out such a plan they made for this conference. In and out of bank audit, what we do generally, audit documentation and checklist. If you see all 8 sessions what they have covered in this particular program, whoever attended from first session till last session including mine, that includes everything of the bank audit. If you see I have given the session names over there. I have just given for all 7 sessions, if you see, probably theory or maybe norms, maybe statutory compliances, maybe other things. These all things are there, okay, data is there before you. And LFR you have to give the annexure. Unless you are having a weapon like Excel or any other tool, you cannot do anything. Okay, so next 1 hour I am just going to talk about forensic tools. In fact, though it's a plural, just for namesake, 90% of the chartered accountant knows only the Excel. In fact, there is a joke on chartered accountants. Who are the professionals having high-end laptops, maybe 1 lakh or 2 lakh worth of laptops, but day in and day out, they only work with Excel. So, that is the importance of forensic tool MS Excel. In fact, today I am not going to demonstrate anything because we are having a very less time. We will be looking into the approach. How Ahmedabad having their own theme, in fact like the theme, innovate, change and Excel. That Excel is different, okay, not MS Excel. So my general presentations are having its own theme. In fact, today's theme is nothing but, we'll more concentrating into the approach than the application. Because application can be anything. You can take Excel or any spreadsheet which is available in the world. If you know the approach, if you are having a data, how you have to go into the data, how you need to make a proper logics into the data, then just this approach you need to fit into the application, that's all you get the results. So, today next 1 hour I am going to talk about just the approach, how we are going to, when there is a case, okay, we know that there are 3 data sets where I need to club together. Sometimes, the assignment looks like very simple. If possible, I will circulate 1 or 2 Excel files to you where you need to calculate the interest, but I am sure even 1 day's time if you spend, you cannot able to calculate. Because there are so many logics which are there in the particular assignment. If you understand that logic, keep those logics into a proper sequence, that is nothing but a syntax we are calling, how PAN number has its own syntax, in the same way Excel is also having its own syntax. So today entirely we are going to cover into that and you will see exactly what is the integrity of the data. First of all, whatever the data you are getting in the text format, I am sure if a branch manager is smart enough You cannot even do your audit. Okay, probably even if after 3 days you spend, but whatever you want to conceive, whatever you want to miss out of the audit, okay, you can do that. Because most of the branch managers are also not smart people. They are not having much knowledge into MS Excel or other tools. So that's the reason we are doing good audits. But these days, bank managers are much more trained into MS Excel and other tools. I will show you a couple of places where just 2 to 3 spaces in the text file you can able to complex the entire text file. Because you are not taking a raw database from a server, right? What you are taking? You are taking a report. Report is not a live data, it is formatted data. That means there is the integrity. Bank manager can, because we will send in the email all the text files. In the text file at 2 places, let's say if you don't want some 1 crore rupee to be part of your sample event, wherever in the text file that 1 crore is there, we'll put 2 spaces. So 1 crore will become 1 lakh when you do the text to columns. So that is the power of Excel, okay? That is the power of forensic tool. So we are just going to talk about those things. Whenever there is unstructured data, how to convert it into the structured data. Once you convert it into the structured data, how we are going to analyze and the problem solving approach. In fact, if you time for the Q&A. I have given a very hypothetical, just simple example for data flow. Input, process, output. In the CPS environment, input is nothing but a raw data. Whatever they feed into the system, whenever a new account is coming, they enter almost all the KYC details into the input. Whatever the input, this is backend getting saved into the database. Okay, whenever I say the database, whenever there is an input, that database is a structured database. We'll talk about thoroughly what is the meaning of structured database. Whenever system processes the data, this information also goes into the system and stored into a structured database. And output are nothing but the reports. Generally, a lot of chartered accountants tell that, from server today, we got 25 reports, 30 reports. If it is unstructured data, then even if you get 100 reports, there is no meaning. You are not getting directly the server, right? You are not accessing the database which is there in the structured format. You are not doing the audit. You are just relying on the report which you are getting from the server. That is nothing but unstructured data. That can be editable. This entire data is backend getting saved into the database. Let's try to understand what exactly the meaning of structured and unstructured data. If you understand this slide, doing an audit and playing with the numbers is just like second standard mathematics. I hope everyone cleared the second standard mathematics, right? Yeah. What is the meaning of structured data? Anything that saves in a tabular format. What is the meaning of unstructured data? It is nothing but other than structured data. We all know the capital gain definition, right? If it is not a short-term capital gain, it is a long-term capital gain. Let's look into more. Let's speak into more into this particular aspect. Structured data, unstructured data is not for the human beings. We can understand both structured as well as unstructured. Facebook post I can understand as well as I can understand something which is there in a tabular format, both together. Structured data is nothing but for the system. Whenever you properly keep the data into a tabular format, then only you can able to put a pivot table into that. I don't think so. Whenever I give you lot of posts into the Facebook into Excel format, can you be able to make a pivot table out of it? So that in first column all the people who you have posted, their name will come. In the second column, whom they tagged, everything will come. No, right? Because that is unstructured data. So our target to make any data analysis is nothing but first thing, converting the unstructured data into the structured data. Unless you convert a unstructured data into the structured data, you cannot do the analysis because systems are only capable of doing analysis for the structured data but not the unstructured data. If that is the case, how Facebook and these all social networking sites are doing business? That's the place the concept of big data is coming. This entire big data, whatever there in the Facebook or social networking sites, whatever there in the Twitter, everything is getting saved into a structured format at the back end. That is what we are calling as a Hadoop technology. That's what we are calling as a all big data technologies. If you want to process that data, you have to convert into the structured data. Unstructured data example is nothing but the report. That is the reason whenever we get a text file, we'll put into our Excel, we'll do the text column, we'll remove all the line items. As you told you, integrity of the data, first of all, as an auditor, whatever the reports which you are getting, not reliable. As I told you, if bank manager is smart enough, he can able to just edit the report and he can able to give you the text file. We are thinking as if it is the real report and we are processing the data out of which we are taking the sample. So first of all, the integrity of the data itself is not there in the bank audit unless we get a credentials to get the data directly from the structured database. That means whatever getting saved to a database in the structured format but not into the report format. Let's go into a specific example. Any data is there, for example, now we know that unstructured data is there. How you are going to convert into a structured data? Generally, whenever there is unstructured data, our eyes automatically go into the data tab into the Excel and there is a text to column or stupid option is there, we generally click it. That's not a correct option. We need to understand the data. You know, for how accounting having its own standard, how auditing having its own standard, even data analysis having its own standards. We should follow that standard. If you follow the standard, I am sure your analysis will be 100% perfect. You know how, generally how we use the Excel, you know, whenever there is a message box appears, whenever we enter wrongly something, generally one pop-up appears, right? What we do? Immediately we click OK. We don't even read it. That is the way we are learning the Excel. Okay, in the same way we are doing the analysis also. We have to read the message, we have to understand the message, we should understand what is the mistake I have done, because of which mistake the message box is coming. That is nothing but a structured way of understanding a data analysis. That's what we are going to talk today. Any data analysis, for example, let me take a simple case study. I'll just go one after other here, from one case study, one slide to the other slide, because we are having very less time. The OD sanction limit of each account is 5 crores for 3 accounts. In one company there are 3 accounts are there, belongs to different companies. Each company OD sanction limit is 5 crore rupees. All 3 accounts belongs to one group company. It is company to company, it is based on the agreement which they enter. The group exposure they can able to limit. Sometimes they don't limit the group exposure. That means total is going to be 5 crores, 5 crores, 5 crores, 15 crores. Some companies they put a group exposure. They give a group limit. For example, in this particular case, there is a group exposure that is nothing but 11.5 crores. How our CA results are 40% as well as aggregate 50%. So in the same way, each account having its own limit of 5 crore and group should not exceed 11.5 crores. Generally what we do, we are very experts. We take the ledger accounts of all these 3, debit, credit, date, transaction. We will put a if function, check it out whether it is greater than or equal to 5 crore. If yes, then exceeds, if not, no exceeds. If 90 days continuously exceeding, then that is out of order, we will try to put that into a NPA. But we generally forget that option. What is that? Group exposure 11.5 crores. We don't forget that option. We don't try because if we start working on the same, we need to spend a lot of maths. Lot of things, though we are finding the observations, why we are not taking that into the LFR or into the MOC, because if you want to find an annexure, because you have to quantify, right? You cannot just like that say that out of these many transactions, these may be. No. You have to tell that in this particular transaction, this is what. Most of our audit is going to be objective type but not subjective type. That's the reason, if you see into the master circular of IRAN, the first paragraph itself they say that these provisions has to be followed objectively but not subjectively, irrespective to whether he is an Ambani. Let's say he has taken a loan of 1 lakh rupees. He has not paid 90 days continuously. Then you have to consider that into NPA irrespective of the fact that he is a billionaire, because objective is more important here. Now I have taken the same 3 items into 3 different Excel files. Okay, that entire job I have done it for you, converting text file into the Excel file. Now there are 3 ledger accounts I got. Can you guys just look into the data, suggest me how we are going to combine this? Whoever having little knowledge into the Excel, even in Excel you can able to solve anything. Even if you have a expert skills or not. Anything can be solved in Excel more than one way, as long as logics are there. But the best way is nothing but you should spend little time. Even I can ask my article student to work on this particular item. Probably she may take maybe 1 day time. But entire branch statutory audit we get only 3 days maximum, or else 4 days. So in this particular case, tell me how you are going to do. Anyone, any guess? Pivot table. Then? Sorry?
Date-wise subtotal.
Date-wise subtotal. Okay.
Then
Okay. Then anything else, we should understand the data first of all. Right? There are a lot of, it's not just consolidation. You cannot put this into directly pivot table, because if you look into the data understanding is more important into the crisp DM framework. Unless we understand the data, we cannot analyze. Generally, what we think, it's very simple. Take the data, VLOOKUP, you will get the balances, no? If you directly club the data, let's say if I am having 31/8/2016, 2 transactions, Excel will club these 2 things together. But that's a balance. You should not club the balance. At the end of the day, whatever the balance you have to consider. And once you dig into the data understanding, you will get to know a lot of questions. Then you will get to know that this is not a task we cannot do in just 1 hour time or 2 hours time. Then we ignore it. Though we know that there may be chance that group exposure may exceed 90 days continuously. So in those cases, understanding the data is more important. What exactly your problem? The requirement is nothing but clubbing 3 data sets together into the Excel. So let's look into the problem solving approach. Any problem, first of all, we should know clear cut to the point on the paper. If I am having a problem into the data analysis, first of all I should know what exactly I am trying to do. What should be my final result? Okay, I have noted down what is the requirement. My requirement is very simple. There are 3 data sets. I want to consolidate all the balances day after other. Requirement is very much clear. Not only just having a requirement, you should also have a logic into the requirement. If there is no logic in your requirement, none of the application in this world will work. You can ask whatever you want to the Excel, but Excel should be in a position to perform it, right? When Excel will perform, when there is a logic in your requirement. In my requirement, of course there is a logic. What is the logic? Before going into the logic, let's identify what is the points we need to observe here. We need to, wherever there are multiple days, we need to combine debits and credits. You cannot consider closing balance in that particular case. Yes sir? Yes. Because if you directly consider the closing balance, even in the pivot table, you will get the total of this, but not the second item. Even if you use the consolidate function, you will get the total of this, but not only the second item. If you write the VLOOKUP function, you will get the first item, but not the second item. Because in the VLOOKUP function, whenever there is a duplicate item, only first item you will get as an answer, but not the second item. Because VLOOKUP function always sorts your data by default, whatever the first item it will take you. So this is not that easy task to do it. What we need to do in this particular case, first we need to understand the data. So I understood the data that there are so many transactions, on the same day there are so many transactions. Now instead of looking into the closing balance, I can able to simply subtotal all the values based on the date, as simple as it. Okay. Again subtotaling this, subtotaling this, subtotaling this. Can I combine again together? No. Because there are so many, after 21st, there is no transaction till 9th. Maybe in the other case, after August month, after 19th, there is a transaction on 2nd. Again, there is a difference in the dates. So unless you know the exact logics into that, you cannot apply any function. You cannot apply even a format anything, or else even a pivot table. Because in the pivot table, first of all, you should understand, right, what I want. I want in this particular format. I have to keep my fields into the row wise, or else I have to keep the values into the value fields and so on. At least you should have a visibility what exactly your outlook should have. So in this particular case, it is very simple. I will simply remove, I'll just drag this data outside. I'll just create a copy. It's always good practice, create a copy of your data so that if something goes wrong, you can go back all the time. Let me delete this closing balance because for me, it's not required at all. Why I want closing balance? Because it's useless. Closing balance anyway is the formula, right? Debit minus credit. plus earlier day balance. What I can able to do? I can able to just make it 1 because it's first account, credit is second account. This is again I'll put 2 just to identify what is debit and what is credit. Then this is 3, then this is 3. Now, sorry. Oh, sorry. Credit should be 1. Saving the time is more important. I can go to the pivot tables or anywhere, but you can understand why I am going into this. Now I can able to simply make a what? I can make a consolidate. But to make a consolidate, there are so many gaps in between the dates. So I can able to simply have a date. Okay, start from, for example, what is the earliest date among all these? 4th July 2016. Okay, so I'll just copy paste the 4th July 2016 plus 1 because while making a balance you should have every day, irrespective of the fact that whether irrespective of the fact that whether there is a transaction in that particular day or not. For the time being, let it be to make the things easier. Let me enter. Okay, till 31st March. Okay. Now I'll just go to data, consolidate. I can just club all these things together. Just go here, add into the Excel, add, then go to this data, including titles, add into the Excel. Go to this data, including the title, add into the Excel, and go to the 4th data. Because why I have selected 4th data? Because I want each and every date. If you don't select the 4th data, whatever the unique dates which are there in the 3 data sets, it will take. So I have added all 4 data sets. Then top row please consider for the counting, which is a sum function. Left column consider for the unique values. Just click OK. Then you have all the values. Then it's very simple. What is the total of this? Can I have a formula? Because it's opening. So this minus credit plus debit minus credit plus debit minus credit. Or else if you want individual account wise, even you can do that. The same thing, this plus this is the only formula you need to write. Remaining everything you can close it. I'll just tell you why I have taken this particular example. Because I am telling you, it looks like very easy, but if you do it independently, you should spend a lot of manners. Okay, that's all. You can simply write a formula now. But this everything, if you look like, unless you know the consolidate function, you cannot do this. Okay, so friends, data is available, but you need to understand which type of options you need to understand. Okay, which type of options you are going to use for that particular data. So let's look into the approach now. Because I have directly given you the answer, so it looks like very easy. Now let me give you the approach. The approach is nothing but, now let us try to understand the data. Now we put everything one after other into the platform. That's nothing but there are 3 data sets. In MS Excel, what options can you able to consolidate? Either pivot table or consolidate. That's all. You cannot go for any other option. If it is a pivot table, then you should know what is the limitations of the pivot table. If I directly take it to the pivot table, then you need to combine 3 data sets together. That means first you need to add all the data sets one after other, unless you are using 2013 Power Pivot, because Power Pivot is having an option of clubbing all the 3 different tables together. So pivot table is gone. So what is the option only remains? Consolidate. At least, whenever you are trying to do the data analysis, as a senior member, no need to do it. At least you are in a position to tell to your article, this is the way you can able to do it. Then he can go and do a R&D, going into F1 and finding the right solution. Because directly you can go to F1. And what is the option for the consolidate? We can simply give you an option. Consolidate is the option. We can just put some 15 to 20 minutes time. But unless you are having that analysis, even if I give you this data, if it doesn't know anything, either pivot table or into the consolidate, I am sure even if you spend 1 day, you cannot able to do it. I have just taken a very little data. In fact, it's a real case which is there in the Hyderabad. One of my friend has shared this data with me. I have removed all the dates. In fact, they are having every account having more than 2000 transactions in one particular year. So friends, it's not just applying your functions and formula application. Let it be the application, the best application in the world. Unless you spend the time for the analysis of whatever your requirement, unless you spend the time, whatever the logic which are there into that, you cannot able to solve into the MS Excel or any tool. That's the same thing, right? For us, ERP, maybe SAP and Tally both are one and the same. Because we don't look into the Tally whether it is there on the top menu or the right side or left side, because shortcuts are only the one which we can able to learn in 1 or 2 days. But if you want to learn the ERP, you should learn the basic architecture. What is that? Debit and credit. Maybe in the Tally at one place you are giving debit and credit, maybe in the SAP at the factory level you are giving a debit, maybe at the finance level you are giving the credit. If you know the basics into the data understanding, analysis will be much more easier. I thought of giving you a lot of examples because we are having very less time. So let me just go ahead with the theory. So writing a requirement, then building the logics into that, then for this particular logic, where I can able to use in the MS Excel or a particular application, just sorting out all the applications, then making it zero down, then you will be finding only one option, then going and working with that particular option. I am sure if you spend some 15 to 20 minutes time in the R&D, you can able to get the solution. But most of the time, even whenever we would like to write a formula, we directly go and start writing a formula equal sign, that's all. We don't even put the time. Why equal sign and what formula I need to write, which category of the formula I need to write, and what is the syntax, whether this syntax, fourth argument is a mandatory or not. We all know the VLOOKUP function. But fourth argument of the VLOOKUP function, am I need to give mandatorily? No. Because wherever it's the exact match, then only you need to give the fourth argument. If it is an approximate match, no need to give it. That understanding you should have whenever you are trying to do the data analysis. Only learn the few things, basics, but learn the things end to end. Because everything is the same in the Excel. Though Excel is having 450 functions, but if you understand the basics, all 450 functions are same. Because syntax is exactly following the same rules and procedures. Even if you go to the MNC or a small company having 3 crores or 4 crores, both are following the same accounting standards. Yes or no? I don't think so. 1000 crores plus company following different accounting standards and 2 crore company having a different accounting standards. No, rules are same. But generally we are mixing the basic concepts or basic architecture of any of the application. So building the logic, then selection of which tool to be used. Maybe for example, in banks, because there is no validation controls much into the bank, especially into the CDS. If I go into a bank, if I give my PAN number, if I give my name, Kumar Sharan, they can able to create an account. Maybe to the same bank, if I go tomorrow or day after tomorrow, if I give other PAN card and if I give a different name, even that they can enter. System can able to accept it. Sharan Kumar and Kumar Sharan both. In Idea tool, there is an excellent feature. By looking into the text, what is the related text? Maybe based on pronunciation, maybe based on looking into left item, right item together, it can able to club the items together. That is very important, especially whenever you are trying to go for a forensic audit and investigations, because most of the times we are going to use the VLOOKUP function. VLOOKUP function only works whenever there is exact match. If it is an approximate match, I cannot use for the text, I need to use for the numbers. So how can a text able to find out, let's say SARAN and SRAN. In the case of Excel, SARAN, SRAN both are not the same. Both are not the same. You will get a result false. It's as simple as it. Is equal to Saran is equal to, in fact not even SRAN, Saran space. Both are not the same. Your answer is going to be false. Whenever you remove this space, then only it will be true. That means Excel is having only one capability. It can able to exactly identify it in the case of text. But Idea forensic tool having a capability, by looking into the pronunciation, maybe extra spaces, it can able to club all the items together. Maybe genuine transactions may not be genuine transaction, but at least it can able to give us a trial to go into a red flag and do the further investigations. So when we can able to understand all this, at least whenever we have a little bit knowledge into an application, this application features are these. This application features are these. These application features are these. When a requirement is coming, by looking into the logic, I can tell to my article student, go and do the 15 minutes R&D on this particular application, I am sure there is an option for that. Because learning an Excel is not one day job. You need to spend so many man hours. In fact, I am learning since my last 10 years, even every day I am learning. If you ask me to rate myself out of 5, maybe I rate out maybe 0.75 out of 5. Because I know Excel is a ocean. But looking into the scenarios which are changing day by day, because a lot of technology is coming into our CA profession, unless you understand at least the concept, you cannot able to solve it. After demonetization, after all this digitalization, I am sure after 5 to 6 years, every chartered accountant portfolio will have at least one e-commerce company audit, I am sure. Because every day, at least in one street, one e-commerce company is coming. How you are going to do the internal audit? How you are going to certify? How you are going to do the statutory audit? Unless you know there is a structured data which is saved in the SQL database, and the structured data, whenever someone do the transaction, it's going into the payment gateway, coming back and giving you the trigger. If you ask some information about any of the particular data, he will simply say that no sir, this data is not available. Because backend in the database, structured database, this particular row, algorithm will not work. By the time if he uses 3 to 4 acronyms, we'll say that okay, it's fine. Because we don't understand. No need to understand the program, but at least understanding what is the database, what is the structured database, what is the meaning of payment gateway, how the transaction is going into the payment gateway, these things are minimum required. In any case, it may be a bank audit or learning for any application. Then we deploy the logic into a feature. How we deploy the logic is nothing but I have to consolidate for each and every day. How we deploy it into the consolidate function, then for us it's very easy because if you know the basic rules, it will be easy. Then we should evaluate the result. Now in the same cases, because though I have data, because there is no time, I just given the cases. NPA account became regular post demonetization, very important especially in your audit whenever you are going for this year. Because post demonetization, there are so many NPA accounts earlier before demonetization, those are NPA accounts, post demonetization, they became regular. At least a point to investigate. Why? Cash deposits, obviously. How you come to know then? Now we got a question, right? What is the question? NPA account became a regular. Now that's what a requirement. Now what is the data which is required to solve this? The data is nothing but I should have pre-demonetization probable NPA data and post-demonetization probable NPA data. If the same account is there in both the places, that's fine. If something became regular, then we need to figure it out. Then comparing two databases. Now at least we are trying to build the logic. This particular column is trying to compare with this particular column, maybe based on the account number. Now comparing is nothing but there is a VLOOKUP function. So let's go into the VLOOKUP function and try to problem. This is, as long as this is there, I am sure you can able to solve. Excel is not at all a difficult task. Any forensic tool, not at all a difficult task. How we went into the application? There is a question. Maybe your senior may ask a question. Then you need to understand what data is required, whether the data is available or not. That's what completeness of the data. Sometimes question may be very superb, but data is not available. Let's say 4 data sets are available, 5th data set may not be available. That's not a completeness of the data. Even a simple one particular data set is not available for one particular case study, you cannot able to resolve. So completeness of the data is one of the much more important factor whenever you want to do the data analysis. So it's not about the quantity of the data, how much you are getting, it's about quality of the data, how better data you are getting. Though you are having 60 columns, but account number column is not there. Then is there any meaning into that particular data? No. So completeness of the data is one of the very important things. Now let's go to the next item. Deposits made and OD taken immediately. What is this? Yeah. Today he deposited some amount, next day he came and he has taken the. I am not saying that these are all irregularities. Maybe a point to look into as a red flag. Maybe we can go and further investigate. He deposited some 10 crore rupees, next day he came and he has taken some sanction limit of 15 crore as a OD. What is the need of it if he is having a money? At least a point to investigate. If that is the case, how you are going to combine? Then you are again having 2 different data sets. One is deposits, the other one is OD. Just to check it out, if is there any of the amount which is matching at least 20% above or less. Because we should have our own limits, right? monitor the dormant accounts. Suddenly, if there is a huge chunk of amounts deposited into the dormant account, that's what the place where we need to report it. An account showing activity similar to multi-level marketing or Ponzi scheme. One of the very important things. In fact, this case study, one of my friends shared. If you observe one of the ledger account, any of the ledger account, where the same amount is created, every day at least 2 to 3 times, then we need to understand what is his business. Okay, either he is doing something online business where the particular item online cost is exactly the same, then only it's possible. Otherwise, how is it possible every day exactly the same amount, 3 to 4 coming into the picture? Then we need to look into that, whether is it a similar type of activity of multi-level marketing or Ponzi scheme. In fact, in one of case, they found the same thing. It's like, I don't know exactly the name of the Ponzi scheme, gold test or something. Okay, every day some 11,999 rupees is getting deposited. Every day some 7-8 credits. Next day some 7-8 credits. Then they went and investigated. Then they came to know that is multi-level marketing. In all these cases, again, understanding the requirement, getting the data, checking out whether we are having a completeness of the data, then finding a logic into our requirement, then this logic we need to fit into the feature whatever the Excel is having. Then large number of checks getting deposited into inoperative accounts. And multiple small amounts debited from accounts as charges and fees. Generally, we don't look into that, whether he's exactly charging every quarterly. Do anyone looking into that? Are you going to write a counting formula? All the number of charges or interest should be exactly 4 if it is a quarterly. Yes or no? If it is quarterly, if your company, the bank is paying the interest, are you going to check out exactly whether 4 items are there? No. For example, if it is a bank charges, are we checking out every month whether there is a not maintenance balance or any other charge? Are we going to check it out? What is the number? No. Maybe the bank employee can able to just put a debit transaction which are nothing but the charges. Maybe he can able to transfer into personal accounts. These all are the case studies, in fact, which are there in the market. And the payment transactions, like just to cover up the deposits, every day they deposit from 20 to 30 small amounts. Suddenly one day they deposit higher amount. Again from 20 days small amounts, and 21st day again they'll put some bigger amount. This entire thing you can able to only do it getting the question, because we are, in fact, most of the people are senior than me here. You will get so many questions, but to get a evidence to that particular question, you should have a data. That's nothing but gathering the data. That's nothing but understanding the data. Then you should make sure that your data is complete. That's nothing but a completion of the data. Then we should build the logic. Then going into the Excel or any other feature. Other methods to use, there is a Benford law. When you are having a huge transaction, first of all, your mind should go into that whether is there any suspension transaction or not. Then we can simply apply the Benford law. We all know that what is Benford law. Because if it is a Benford law, there is a single digit. You can able to extract the first digit, exactly the percentage or the proportionate is equal to that. Any of the real-time data you can take in the world, any of the real-time data. If you extract the first digit, there is 30% of the chances that digit should come as 1. There is only 4% of the chances that digit 9 should come. These all are just the case studies. It will not take much time. If you are having the data, just apply a is equal to left function, then writing the just proportionate value, that's all. It will not even take 2 to 3 minutes time. I am just trying to touch upon the topics how we can able to go into the data analysis. If you know how to understand a particular data, then these all will take not even 10 minutes time. But most of the times what we are doing, we are just trying and directly writing a formula or directly applying a feature into a particular problem. Let's go into the other items. I like this code. In fact, in a data analysis, perfectly works. This is. In fact, whatever the assignments which generally I do, I don't directly go and do it. 80% of my time is only into understanding the logic. That's all. Remaining, once you get the logics, remaining everything is just going into Google. I'm sure one stupid in the world asking the same question. Maybe he might have written the formula. We can copy it and we can paste it. 90% of the software employee's job is the same these days. Already some program is there, copying and pasting and fitting into our requirement. But logics may not be same in all the cases. That logics you need to build. That 80% of the time you are going to spend only to understand the logics. Whenever someone asks me to do something, I will not start the work. I keep on asking the question. Okay, this one you are looking for. Correct? Your requirement is absolutely fine. Then what is the data you are having? What is the file name? What is the sheet name? In which cell the data is there? Then out of the questions itself, you can able to build the logics. So, these are the other tools. Whenever you get time, you can go to that. In fact, most of the tools are very expensive except R is a programming language which is free software. MS Excel, in fact, we all know it. ACL, idea tool for chartered accountant, especially they have given a demo version. And SAS is one of the very dynamic, one of the latest data analysis tool. R is similar to the Excel, in fact, but through the program you can able to analyze the data. Python is again a program language. Tableau is the one which can able to put everything into a proper graphical presentation. This, in fact, you can able to use not only in bank audit, in the internal audits also to find the outliers. Generally, wherever the cases where we need to keep the average. Let me just take 2 minutes time to explain you the concept of outlier. Let's say I am having some 20 invoices is equal to, I am just trying to use some brand routine so that I get some quick numbers, copy paste special values. Let's say out of this, there is some value this much. There is a case where I need to mention a particular average. Now I am going to directly take the average of this is equal to average, then this is not a correct average. Because whenever especially you want to use the statistics, you have to remove all the outliers. The meaning of outlier is nothing but, if I put this into a proper scattered chart, my 5,45,000 will be, that particular dot will be somewhere outside. So I have to remove all the outliers, then only, because this only amount influencing my entire database. Then it's not giving a proper picture exactly what is the average of a particular data set. Wherever there are cases you need to find out standard deviation, variance, or maybe average, then in those cases you have to remove the outliers. Unless you know that, because outliers looking into your data, because it's only 10 records, you can able to find out very easily. But whenever there are records of 10,000, you cannot tell the data, right? Then what I am going to do, I will put all the 10 records into a chart, scattered chart. Then each record will come as a dot. Then whatever the dots which are on top, in fact, completely outside of the real data, best example is nothing but a cricket. Any of the bowler, bowled 60 balls, they give an analysis, right? All 60 balls, how it's coming. Then whenever 50 around balls are at the same place, then most consistency is there. One of the white ball will go somewhere outside. That's nothing but the dot is going outside. So that is nothing but outlier concept. There are so many applications. I am not saying that you doesn't know anything, and I am just saying these all are unexplored for you. You just need to spend the time, that's all. And than anything else, generally wherever I go, I ask this question. We have not learned, we didn't go for any coaching center to learn the Facebook, right? Yes sir? Has anyone gone for any training center to learn Facebook? No. We know how to share, we know how to comment, we know how to poke. Even the other person irritating, how to send the Candy Crush request again and again. We all know it. For that we didn't even bought any book, we didn't even go for any coaching center training sessions. I don't think so. I say Ahmedabad conduct sessions on how to use the Facebook. No. If that is the case, Facebook is an application software, Excel is also an application software, then one application software without even any training, even if Facebook releases a small app today morning, by the end of the day, I am sure all the users of the Facebook uses that particular app. But we never go for help. We understood ourselves. But if it is the case of other application software, there is nothing but MS Excel. Though there are trainers, okay, we always look for books, trainings and so on, but we never try to learn ourselves. The only difference, interest. Because Facebook, we are having a lot of interest. Everyone has the interest. In fact, I have a lot of interest into the Facebook. My target all the time into the Facebook is nothing but, if 2 notifications are there in the Facebook, that means I feel guilty. Oh, I missed the Facebook. Because all the time, 1 notification. All the time, only 1 unread notification. If more than 2 or 3 means, I feel guilty. Because that's what the interest I am having with the Facebook. If you are having an interest with any of the application learning is just, I am telling you, it is like second standard mathematics. Because we are ignoring the basics. If I ask you a simple question, If I ask you a simple question, again, in fact, whoever attended my last seminar, they can able to answer it. Bank manager, if you want to make a simple fraud, if you can simply go here, you can go to the formula. Okay, this is anyway unable. Let's say, for example, there is a single apostrophe. Let me put right alignment is equal to sum. Sum of all these values. Is it correct? Is it correct? No. Because in between there is a text value. Before you have given a single apostrophe, that's the reason you know that the answer is wrong. Understand a situation where you are going for an audit, where you are having 10,000 rows, and at the bottom there is already a sum function. Are you going to take a calculator, click each and everything and check it out whether sum total is equal? No. We'll just take that sum total and we'll take it to the input and we'll put the same thing as the input into the other formula, and that output will take it and we'll input into the other formula and so on. That entire chain will go wrong because your first output itself is wrong. A simple things can able to make a bigger frauds into the Excel. I'm telling you, if an accountant and branch manager is smart enough. Whatever the Excel, generally NPA data they don't share it. They generally keep it into they give you into a Excel formats in some of the branches. They can able to simply put some singular apostrophe, that's all. You cannot even find out, that is not part of your final total. Not only NPA, internal audit, statutory audit, everywhere. For example, what I was talking about is space. For example, in this particular data, not this data, let me take other data. In this particular data, I am having some bigger amounts. Let me just go to right side. This is a text data, generally we get it. There is an amount of 1 lakh. Let's say this is 1 crore. Okay. Generally the data looks like this. This is somewhere maybe 40th row or 50th row, maybe some 100th row into the database. If you don't want this number to be part of your sample, when you generally whenever you do the text column, exactly it's not coming over there. Yeah. Why it's not coming? So I am changing the text file. It got stuck up, is it? Some problems are. Okay, you understood my concept, right? Where there is a 1 crore, he can simply put 2 spaces. I don't think so. We go to each and every line item, check it out whether exactly it is taking a fixed way. We generally have a glance, then we'll put 10 items, then all 10 columns will be able to segregate. Then 1 crore will become 1 lakh. Gone. So it is just about the basics, okay? This principle for accounts you are following, for auditing you are following, but for data analysis you are not following. If you understand the data, spend time looking into the entire, the text file, then you will come to know all those mistakes easily. Okay? So my dear friends, I will just sign off in the next 5 minutes. So today what I thought of covering is the approach only. Just to give you that data analytics is not at all a difficult task, but you should understand the basics. You should know what is text, what is number. Have you observed whenever I have given a single apostrophe for a number, for example, there is a number, right? Whenever there is a single apostrophe, right alignment became a left alignment. This is in fact a very bigger observation which can able to solve a lot of problems. We don't even observe because this is a text indication. Because text always aligned to the left side, number always aligned to the right side. A very basic principle. Entire Excel is just roaming around text, number, Boolean value, that's all. Boolean value is nothing but true or false. As long as you know all these 3 things, all the basic things, entire Excel you can able to crack it. In fact, any of the structured analytical application that can be a IDR ACL includes. Because for all those things, basics are nothing but getting the data, understanding the pattern of the data, that's all. What is the type of the data, that's all. So my dear friends, have a question, put on the paper, to the point, this is what I am looking for, then spend the time to make a logic into that, then look into the Excel options which can able to solve your problem, then that particular thing you can able to take it and you can able to solve it. And just very quickly, because we are anyway here to find what exactly the mistake. We find so many errors in the Excel, right? Wherever you find the mistake, generally for example there is a error, you find this error. By looking into that, because we get very 2 to 3 days time, right, whenever we are doing analysis. So by looking into the error, we should be in a position to tell because of which mistake, because of what error this is coming. Now for example, when you get a value error, whenever I am just trying to write a if function, if Sharon, comma, Kiran, comma, Arun. Can you get the result here? This is a value error. And for example, if you are trying to divide something with 0, they say div divided by 0 error, because in mathematics there is a concept of infinity, but in the Excel there is no concept of infinity. So that denote by div divided by 0. Whenever you are trying to apply a function, for example large, I want to find the large value out of this. First largest value is nothing but 545,498. 11th largest value, can you tell? Because there is no 11 values first of all, out of the range, so it is a num error. For example, I have referred this to this very important error. We get some value. Whenever I delete the first row, that will become a reference error. Wherever reference error means, I am sure someone has deleted that. So these all are simple basics. Reference error comes because it's a valid, invalid reference. Earlier there was a reference of C1. Now because I have deleted C1, there is no reference, so invalid reference it is. Now this is a name error because name has to be, any text has to be covered in double quotation in the formula, because Excel is not trying to understand this as a text, so it's a name error. Value error is nothing but, for example, for the NPA calculation, we all know what is NPA, right? If I give you parameters of, Sharan, Kiran, Arun, can you be able to solve NPA? No. Because the parameters which are required to calculate NPA are not Arun, Sharan. The parameters are nothing but rate, cash inflow or outflow from the first year, second year and so on. That means my parameter itself is wrong. That means whatever the value which I am looking for itself is wrong. So that's the reason in this particular case, the first argument is nothing but a logical test. Instead of logical test, I have taken something which is wrong. So that's the reason it's a value error. Div divided by 0 is self-explanatory. Num error is generally out of the control. The only some data set is there and you are trying to do something out of it. So Excel cannot able to find out. So it's a num error. Small things, but which can able to solve a lot of things, especially whenever you are having a little time and trying to do the audit into the any of the audit, that may be bank audit or internal audit or statutory. With this, I will just close because I am having a flight at 8 o'clock. Excuse me. So with this, I am just closing the session, friends. I know it will a little bit hurry because it's not a workshop. Because some function can, single sum function we can able to talk for 4 to 5 hours, because I am sure you all know some function only 10%. Today go to the F1, go to help and try to read the sum function. You will come to know hundreds of different examples. You can, for example, if you are into the industry, you can make 100 plots into the sum function. Okay, so Excel is a ocean, but try to understand the basics. Wherever you get time, try to understand the little bit basic concept. Remaining everything is dead easy. Thank you so much and thanks for the opportunity.
Yes. Converts to the two different
Format.
format for then we have to do the R&D and
It's very simple. The text column is okay. Wherever the dates are coming in a different format, something is coming DDM by, something is coming by DDM. Okay. Generally, date format will come only based on the computer. For example, your system is having a DD, YY format. That is what your by default Excel format. So everything has to be converted into that particular format. So you select that particular column, go to the text column, go to next. Then on top there is a date. Okay. General date and ignore, right? Go to that particular date and select whatever the existing format. If for example existing format is MMDD YY and you are looking for DD YY, then select MDY. Then automatically converts into a by default format.
all the dates will come in the same format.
Exactly. Correct. That is it. I'm sure once you go into the system with 2 to 3 trial and errors, you can able to get the result.
Every system may have different formats.
No, but your system can be different format, my system can be different format. But when I send the data to your system, automatically this date format converts to your system format.
Automatic.
That no need to do manually.
Sir, when we convert the text file in Excel, then 1 crore amount converted to 1 lakh, then how to find out?
Sorry, sir. Sorry.
When we convert the text file in Excel,
Okay.
if 1 crore amount in columnar amount is become a 1 lakh, Then how to find out this?
So that spaces are given. We need to spend the time. We just need to go through the data. That's all. There is no other thing for that. That's what data understanding is more important. 80% of the time, we just need to understand the data. Whenever, especially, we are into the forensic audits. For that, there is no other thing. We just need to. And the other things generally we don't put a validation control. Every time put the validation control. If that is the case, they generally keep two spaces. I don't think so. They go back down. They go to down and they change the grand total also. Then once you convert back, make a grand total, check it out with the text file grand total. I am sure that will not match. So validation controls are much more important for chartered accountant because generally we ignore it. We just convert it and we goes out. Any other question? Yeah, thank you.
On behalf of Ahmedabad branch of WIRC of ICAI, I am thankful to our learned faculty, CA Aaran Kumar, sir. Sir, I am very glad to know that this providing Excel tools will definitely helpful in our bank statutory audit. Definitely, we will give much lesser time to conclude all this our stuffs. Thank you very much, sir. Please remember to take our